Pitcairn is a little utopia with its luscious fruits and tropic flowers. The Bounty brought the breadfruit to Pitcairn instead of to the West Indies, and sea captains have added their share to the varied collection of plants. This Pitcairn girl is weaving a straw hat from the dried leaves of the pandanus palm. In this village of primitive ways, girls with long hair still carry pitchers to fill at the wells. This girl, a descendant of Midshipman Young, is carrying a jar which came to Pitcairn on the Bounty. Under the community system, all rations from passing steamers are divided equally among the 52 families of the island. At the courthouse, flour received from our steamer is being rationed. Here you get a good peep at the descendants of the Bounty mutineers. In the majority of cases, the Tahitian type prevails. They are thin and strong and speak a language of their own, a mixture of Tahiti and broken English. The peace of Pitcairn today makes it hard to realize how terribly it was stained with crime and bloodshed. By the early struggle for supremacy between the mutineers and the men of Tahiti, when all excepting 2 mutineers succumbed to the clash of colour. This is William Christian, the great-grandson of Fletcher Christian. Fletcher Christian's son afterwards married a pure native girl who, as a baby, was brought ashore from the Bounty in a barrel, and so the dark blood of the Christians predominates. William Christian is hoeing the same plot where Fletcher Christian was killed by the Tahitian men. These are the family plots of Pitcairn, in little fertile valleys 1,000 feet above the sea. Here the mutineers and their pagan companions fought and killed each other until only one, John Adams, remained. He, by the aid of the Bounty's Bible, preached the gospel to the remaining women and children. Upon this site stood Fletcher Christian's first cabin. We now turn back the pages of history.
I wonder how much longer it'll be before those black dogs put a knife in our backs.
I care not if it be tonight. Death would be a release from the remorse which dogs my footsteps day and night and day.
Who do you talk to yourself about? Bligh? Ah, he deserved his fate.
No, my friend. Whate'er Bligh's faults, he was a brave British officer. And in my presence, I would still have you speak of him as such. John Adams has made a strange request. He has asked for the Bible, believing he can cleanse this spawning hell by preaching the gospel.
O blessed Lord, look with mercy on Pitcairn Island and upon the fathers of these little children who died in shameful strife. By the shedding of their blood, O Lord, strengthen us for the trials, for the future in this isolation. People of Pitcairn, remember the Lord said, "Come unto me, all ye that suffer." And little children, the Lord said, "Suffer little children to come unto me.
From the humble services held by John Adams in a hut has sprung the present-day church, a large building of 2 stories, the most pretentious in the village. There is no labor on the Sabbath, and church is held 3 times during the day. Every man who possesses a naval uniform wears it to church, when clothes of all descriptions are worn. Most of the timber for this church was cut from the trees of an island 200 miles from Pitcairn. These are 3 prominent church people: Roy Clark, Aunt Ann McCoy, and Dora Warren. Edwin Christian, the Beau Brummel of Pitcairn, talks with his wife after the morning service. In Pitcairn's smithy, old Benjamin Young, the great-grandson of Midshipman Young, is turning the Bounty's vice, which is still doing service on the island today. Benjamin Young is 84 years of age and is one of the keenest men on Pitcairn. Aunt Ann McCoy, descendant of mutineer McCoy, is busy making a basket from the leaves of the pandanus palm. Her old fingers are almost as deft as those of the young people. A woman of the large Christian family spends her spare time hand-painting souvenirs made from coconuts. Edwin Christian is the spiritual leader of Pitcairn, his sterling qualities being an inspiration to all. When death comes to the Pitcairner, a tombstone is cut from the rocks washed smooth by the sea. Edwin Christian is here seen hewing a tombstone from a rock below the landing place. The stone ovens of the island are also made from these rocks. As long as the sea shall break upon Pitcairn, there is a name whose glory will never die, and whose works will always remain: John Adams. Necessity has taught Pitcairn to be entirely self-supporting, as the possibility of a steamer calling becomes more remote as modern commerce is speeded up. Here we see Pitcairners making their salt. Each family owns its saltwater pools on the seafront, where in rough shelters the water is boiled off, leaving a coarse-grained salt. This is the crude sugar mill of the island, which is used by each family to manufacture the juice, which takes the place of refined sugar. Every member of each family takes a turn at the wheel, and the only horse on the island is available to all under the community rule. Families are busy at the arrowroot mill. The roots of the plants are being grated preparatory to being ground to pulp. Arrowroot is one of Pitcairn's staple foods, and the young children are practically reared upon it and coconut milk. Little Beulah Christian is a worthy example of Pitcairn's youngest generation. The roots are ground and the pulp is squeezed of its precious juices, which, when set, become arrowroot. The dried pulp goes back onto the land as fertilizer. Each family has its saw pit. This is the only method of sawing timber on the island. For community work, such as boat building and case making, each family does its share, and more than 30 saw pits will be in action at once. King, light work. There are no slackers upon this little island. Every man does his bit. One of the large canoes from the fishing fleet is being carried to the village for repairs. The Pitcairners take great pride in their boats, which are kept in excellent order. A young boat builder. They go to the sea in ships at a very early age on Pitcairn. The large canoe is being caulked, ready for its battle against the tyrant sea and the uncertain currents of the Pitcairn fishing bank. The Pitcairners make their own violins, and the girls give their hair as strings for the bows. There are no music masters on Pitcairn. They are all self-taught. Here's Pitcairn's Don Bradman making his own cricket bat. An attempt is made to educate the young Pitcairner, who only goes to school for 2 hours before breakfast, and then spends the remainder of the day at play. The young men of Pitcairn are of excellent physique, and although they climb and swim, they are great believers in physical culture. These young men are the product of inbreeding for a period of 160 years. Realizing this, the physique and mental capabilities of these people surprise one.